So my topic is role of transplant in myeloma, and earlier I was talking to somebody, to a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So, we are coming from a transplant center, and even if you go to any of the international meetings, it's a myeloma session, you will see transplanters versus non-transplanters, and they are so deeply committed to their conviction that it's hard to penetrate through their thinking. But most of my data, most of my presentation is already done, so my job is relatively easy. What I'm going to present is that why we should do transplant, why we should continue to do transplant in the current era, and how we can improve it. So why would we still stick to autologous stem cell transplant? And if you remember, the data for role of transplant in newly diagnosed myeloma patients came from 3 randomized studies. The 3 randomized studies were conducted towards the end of late 1990s, early 2000. And basically what these randomized studies showed was that there was not only improvement in progression-free survival, but improvement in overall survival. And this was established when none of the novel agents were available. We had VAD induction. Half of the patients got induction followed by transplant versus induction followed by more chemo, and that's how they were observed. In the current age, we should still adapt transplant as our upfront therapy because of 4 major reasons. Number 1, it's relatively safe. At our center, the mortality for autologous transplant, treatment-related mortality for myeloma is 0% for first 100 days and less than 2% for 2-year non-relapse mortality. Number 2, it's actually, believe it or not, cost-effective. So this analysis was done by our business center, and what they have shown is that combination of Neupogen or G-CSF mobilization plus an auto transplant is somewhere around $155,000 US. Compared to Revlimid plus dexamethasone, just 6 cycles is $150,000. Compared to Velcade plus dexamethasone is $126,000. Not to mention that in this day and age, when you're looking at continued therapy, you're looking for treatment until progression or treatment until intolerability. So 6 cycle is a conservative estimate. Not to mention the side effects, not to mention neuropathy, patient intolerability, patients coming every month. So we feel that consolidating an initial response with autologous stem cell transplant is beneficial both therapy-wise as well as cost-wise. Stem cell transplant in myeloma is the only modality that has the longest follow-up. So the responses are durable, the responses last long time, and this is something that we can actually compare in terms of quality of life as well. At our center, we are also now performing most of the myeloma patients as outpatient. And there was a recent paper in which we have shown extreme cost savings, anywhere from 7% to 47%. Most of our patients get their conditioning as an outpatient, infusion as an outpatient, and they get admitted only if they run into complications with dehydration, vomiting, or neutropenic fever. So in the current era, as has been highlighted by the previous speakers, there is a choice of treatments in terms of upfront therapy, followed by consolidation with transplant, followed by maintenance therapy, and possible rescue in terms of the relapsed disease. This is just the data that I was mentioning in terms of overall progression-free survival benefit as well as survival benefit. So the questions that we have for transplant in the year of 2012 is, does everybody need the heavy induction? Does everybody need a triplet for induction? And now we have a quadruplet for induction, or is doublet okay? Number 2 is, what is the optimal induction? Do we treat until CR or a VGPR, or we are okay with initial response? I think these questions have already been answered by the previous speakers. Number 3rd question is, define the timing of transplant, and I will leave that for our debaters, and focus upon improving therapy, improving our actual transplant therapy. And again, the maintenance therapy has been discussed by Dr. Kazelbarsh, so I will just focus on post-transplant consolidation. The tumor burden reduction, very nicely mentioned by the previous speakers in terms of whether it translates into overall better outcomes related with transplant, and the answer is yes. And in fact, depth of response is now translating into long-term benefit. And in terms of improvement of the initial response with autologous stem cell transplant, also highlighted by previous speakers, that even if you have a good upfront CR or a VGPR, it can still be made better by offering consolidation with autologous stem cell transplant. Dr. Kumar has nicely summarized the data from the phase 3 HOVE-1 study, in which patients were randomized with VAD versus PAD, PAD being bortezomib, adriamycin, dexamethasone. So the more than near CR actually went from 11% to 21%. So even when you use novel agents, not a novel doublet, but a novel triplet, you see improvement in the response rates when you offer them autologous stem cell transplants. Similarly, with the phase 3 PATHEMA study, in which VTD was used in a front regimen as induction, after transplant, the CR rate went from 35% to 46%. In terms of the only randomized study in the modern era with novel therapies that has randomized patients to transplant versus no transplant, this came out of the IFM group, and you saw MPR versus tandem transplant followed by maintenance versus no maintenance. Bottom line was the patients who got transplanted regardless of the maintenance therapy did better in terms of progression-free survival. The overall survival was not significant. However, we need longer follow-up, as is evident in any myeloma study. The landmark analysis of the ECOG study of RevDex high dose, low dose, although this was not a planned randomization, but bottom line was that after the initial 4 cycles of RevDex, patients who went on to get transplanted did better in terms of both progression-free survival, and in patients specifically less than 65 years of age, they had better overall survival as well. So the summary is that when comparing conventional chemotherapy versus single autologous stem cell transplant, autologous stem cell transplant should still be considered as upfront therapy. Specifically, in our center, we always get this debate with the myeloma department, as well as sometimes our patients, they come and talk to us in terms of harvest and store. And harvest and store is probably not available all across the world. We do have a certain subset in which we do that basically to reduce the toxicity to the stem cells. So if you're not able to take your patient to transplant right away, this should be an option to consider for in order to reduce any kind of long-lasting toxicity. Now, we have all this data regarding Rev maintenance. Dr. Kazelbach has very nicely reported that, so I'm not going to say it. But there was a recent study that was just published of ThalDex maintenance. So if you're not able to do Rev maintenance, can you use thalidomide, the long-lasting agent? And the answer is yes. This was a randomized study in which everybody got VAD induction. Now, they are using old drugs, and this is a study that was started several years ago, and they have just completed it and reported it. So still, it is very commendable. They got VAD induction followed by autologous stem cell transplant and were randomized to either dexamethasone alone or combination of thalidomide dexamethasone. And they showed in an intent to treat analysis improvement in progression-free survival in favor of maintenance, especially even in patients who had less than a very good PR. The progression-free survival was in favor for patients who got ThalDex maintenance. There is no overall survival benefit as of yet, but the follow-up is relatively short. What about consolidation? So can we improve the response that we have received from an autologous stem cell transplant? And in fact, we are now performing the STAMINA study, or the BMT-CTN, in which patients are being randomized after their autologous stem cell transplant either to lenalidomide maintenance alone, or followed by a tandem transplant followed by lenalidomide maintenance, or arm with no transplant at all. That means they get 4 cycles of VRD consolidation followed by len maintenance. So the summary is high-dose melphalan with autologous stem cell transplant support remains the standard of care in newly diagnosed myeloma patients. Current therapy and the clinical trials, they are in favor of offering maintenance therapy to all our patients post-transplant. And moving forward, we should look at other modalities of minimizing toxicity and maximizing our benefit.